You take. We'll swap them over for the blacks.
Do you know what the funny thing is?
You're pissed because you can't go near the equator because you'll burn. You'll burn to death, you little devil.
Red. I love you, Red.
Red.
I love you.
Red. If black
crackers and toast.
No, why can't you get? Why do you get Ricky? Why do you get Ricky?
First something. Amy here is doing a grown-up conversation. Red is demonstrating.
Take the grown-up conversation, roll it up like a piece of paper and shove it up your fucking ass. Because once you started being racist to H, all kinds of civilized conversation went out the window. You think I didn't clock what you said to H? Yeah? And you inbred, do you know what you can do? You can go and fuck your cousin because you're an incestuous racist.
Red, I love you. Can you tell me you love me, Red? Red, I love you. Can you tell me you love me?
Go and have sex with your cousin and make a white baby.
Red, I love you, Red. Red, can you tell me you love me, Red? Can you tell? Can you tell? Did you hear what I said?
Go and practice carry on with your incestuous racist nature. You incestuous, inbreded racist. Go in the cellar and produce kids with your daughter, like that Fritzl guy. Yeah, you little Nazi reject.
My daughter tonight. She's only 8. Why is everyone fucking my daughter?
Shit.
She's only 8.
I couldn't give 2 shits. Fritzl, go to the cellar, and then do what he did. Go to the cellar boy. All your kids are going to come out with blonde hair and they'll come out with milky white skin because they won't have any vitamin D. Go to the cellar. Rapunzel, all them old nursery rhymes, Rapunzel and all that, let down your long hair, Hansel and Gretel. You're a weirdo. It's been a hot day. Everybody's been having a good time, and you with your skin burnt up by the sun want to come onto an African man show and talk racism. You're a dick. I'm going anyway because I've got a life and I've got drink to drink. I've got friends. I've got things to do. I ain't gonna waste my time giving you fucking wank-off material.
Live each other and be brothers.
No one's gonna love you. Your mum didn't love you, and your dad don't love you. Yeah, and you're going to be replaced by the looks of it. You've got 4 hours to make another baby. So go on, TikTok, quick. Come on, Talio. Let's find the white girl to get pregnant. Come on, quick. Before Cinderella, come on, Cinderella. Get some white pom pom. Get some white pom pom down the box park. Come on, you've got a few gentrified neighbourhood pubs to go to. Quickly, get one before she turns gay. Get a girl before she turns lesbian. Oops, you just missed your opportunity. Sorry, only black girls now. Oh, no, they don't want you. Your dick's too small. Oh, no, it's too white as well and ugly. Bye.
Nice one, pal. Red, I love you. Love you, Red.
Wait, Red's gone.
Why is Red so angry?
What a pussy.
Why is Red so angry?
I mean, I want to bring up one thing he said. He said blacks are the global
What are you
citizens.
guys on? What are you guys on to prove?
Stereotype.
Listen, lads. What are you guys on to prove tonight?
What the fuck? I just spent 5 minutes telling Red I love him as a fellow human being.
You're a weirdo though. Tell him Red you love him and fucking. What?
What was that? What was the other guy gonna say? You just said something. The guy before was gonna say something.
What
was you about to say?
It's not funny. Weird little fucking creep of a man. Yeah.
I saw in years. I'm telling you.
This.
What was the other guy gonna say? One of us was gonna say something about the what Red was saying. He was gonna ask. What was you gonna say?
What he said, blacks are the global citizens or something. He was saying, the whole world is black or something. I mean, he was bringing up, everyone's.
But listen. We are all citizens. No, shut your fucking mouth. We're all citizens of it.
Oh yeah, you're really smart.
We are all.
Fucking hell.
Sorry.
Right. People are adapted to live in certain climates.
I thought us racists were hostile, but blimey, Jesus.
People with fairer skin can't live near the equator. Look at Australians; they burn, they get skin cancer. Darker skinned people in colder climates tend to get a high chance of getting things like rickets. We're just made to be born wrong.
What?
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, I heard what you're saying. And also to the other brother, the guy that said, I think the one that said you want for blacks to go back to Africa. My question would be as well, yeah, why do you think that your ancestors brought us in the first place?
It's not our ancestors.
I hate to be that guy, but it wasn't our ancestors. It was literally like the top 1%. Again,
but who are they? Who are they? Well, who are those people? You say the top one. Who are they?
Do you want names?
Are we allowed to?
I'm going to tell you what. Hey, guy. Medicine man. I'm going to tell you a curiosity. When it was Sabbath in the New World, there was no slave trade. There was no slave trade. And with this, I tell you all. There was no when there was Sabbath. It was when it was not Sabbath.
Come on.
In what? Go check the history. Go check the history books. When there was a Sabbath, there was no merchants. There was no slaves in the New World. It's written all over the place in history. Go check it out. It was not the Christians.
I hear that. I just want to hear. I want to know who the 1% is that he was talking about. The one that. Who are those people? Who are they? Are they?
Right. So, Medicine, do you want some names?
Check Go check the name of the boats.
These are owners of ships.
Go check the name of the boats. And you'll see the boats who were doing the slave. Go check the name of all of them. All of them.
Yeah, I can.
Names.
Donald, I'm gonna mention the names now. So these are owners. When we talk about slavery, we're obviously talking about the transatlantic slave trade, aren't we? The owners of these ships are Aaron Lopez, Moses Levy, Jacob Franks, Isaac Levy, Nathan Simpson. Moses Levy owned 2 more ships.
Sounds like
all these people share one common thing. Yeah, it is, mate. 78% of owners were.
They were what?
Nathan Martin, David Gomez, Abram Lyle, James D. Wolfe, Jan D. Sweets, Jacob Franks, Sam Levy.
So did the British have any involvement in any of these slave ships?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I wouldn't
sounds
say
like a lot of Germans, a lot of British,
a
lot of Jewish, and a lot of Spanish.
A lot of capitalists were
Well,
involved.
it sounded like to me with those surnames.
Like black capitalists were involved in the slave trade. Weren't they? Black capitalists were involved in the slave trade as well, weren't they?
Which one's
yes,
that?
They were. The people that were involved in the slave trade was, as you said, you mentioned the bourgeois, you mentioned the Jews, but the people on the ships who were controlling the slaves were working class.
Yeah, but they were
people. Let me actually finish what I'm saying before you jump on, and then we can even fast forward. We can fast forward to the time of colonialism. As I said to you earlier, Hemi, the white working class were traitors to the working class because who were the soldiers? Who were the ones fighting at Rorke's Drift against the Zulus? It wasn't just the upper middle classes. It was working class men who were killing.
But why did they do that?
On behalf of England.
They were coerced into doing that. It wasn't like a choice. It wasn't
coerced.
Coerced into doing it.
Define what you mean by coerced.
What I mean by that is that if they didn't fight for their country, they were fucking relegated to a life of abject poverty. Like if you were working class, right? Your choice was basically send your children into the fucking loom or work at some shitty factory, or you could have this chance of going abroad and, like you say, working on the ships or whatever. But it was kind of they were kind of coerced into doing it. It's like in current day world, a lot of working class men go into the army, and the reason why they go into the army is because that's their only fucking way of getting a good living. You know what I mean?
That's true, but the point is, you cannot absolve them of the atrocities they committed.
No.
You cannot just say. You cannot just say the only people who committed the atrocities were the 1%, were the black capitalists, were the bourgeoisie.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have all these working class.
We'd be letting Wendy Will away with it then.
No, hold on a minute, because you're applying the same moral standard that didn't exist back then. Like the reality is it doesn't. This is like trying to you're trying to apply modern day moral standards to people of the past.
Listen, bro, you're trying to apply any sort of morals to what your empire done in all tissue.
My empire.
So just shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, right?
Calm down, you fucking potato person. Jesus.
Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. So like it doesn't even extend to people that are outside your own ethnicity. It's a weird potato people. Black people are black people. Yeah, I know. Look, you're a scumbag.
Keep your panties on. Jesus.
Nah, you're a scumbag. A scumbag.
Your panties on. Come on.
Larry,
as me and Fleet say, you're a dirtbag.
Can you mute Dublins for a second, somebody, please?
I was just going to say,
he needs to take a shit and have a cigarette.
He needs to have this little gentleman does, doesn't he? Jesus.
So the guy that was saying about the working class, about working in shitty factories and all that stuff. But my thing is, what I'm trying to understand is that why wasn't the working class people, trying to overthrow this so-called
fucking work? Have you ever heard of the peasants? The peasants.
And not only that, and not even. But why were you peasants though? Because if you was all working class, how could you still be peasants if there's only 1%?
Not just peasants, but like. What you need to remember is that the working class have been trying to fight against the system for fucking it. Like this very same system.
But what I'm trying to hold on, but all the factories and stuff.
You're not even working class.
If the majority of the working class were so what you're saying, wanting to work and do all
that
stuff.
There's nothing about it, Gabs.
How is it that you had?
He knows nothing about it, Gabs. He knows nothing about it.
How is it?
Can you stop talking? I'm trying to talk to this.
How is it you had shitty factories and all these shitty jobs and all this stuff? Wouldn't the working class have been putting their fingers and making things a bit more better? Like how did they end up being peasants if it's only a 1%?
This is the point we're making. It's always been the working class versus the elite.
So
the working class.
My thing is, but this 1%, I'm trying to understand. This is what I'm still trying to get. You're saying 1%.
Explain why slavery was abolished.
Hold on, wait.
What you told me earlier.
Before we get there, this 1%. Remember, you're saying. You listen to what you're saying. 1%. The majority of you guys are the working class. All for making things better. But why was there shitty factories and shitty places and all these things, and the working class couldn't still build up their own society within themselves? How is it this 1%?
Okay, can I answer that?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, that's a question directed at me. So, like during slavery, a lot of the working class were not in favor of slavery for selfish reasons. I'll tell you why. The 1%, the only reason if you were part of the 1%, slavery was amazing for you. You got cheap labor, you can make more profit, lots of money. If you're a working class person, a lot of your jobs have been outsourced to fucking black people and slaves and shit. Working class people were living in worse conditions. And what actually happened is working class people had enough of this fucking bullshit. And they are the ones who pushed for social change, i.e. to get slavery fucking abolished.
I understand that, but what I'm trying to say, bro, this is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say, let's skip the slavery. I don't even want to get to that. Because that's where they brought us in. I'm saying before the blacks and the slaves came over, what was the working class doing? Why was you lot still living in shitty jobs, shitty homes? Yeah, what was going on?
Explain why.
Go on. That's what I want to know. What was happening?
So we need to talk about before the industrial. So before the Industrial Revolution, we lived in a feudal system. So pretty much all over the world, we had a feudal system where the 1% owned land, and they basically owned people. Right, they owned people. You were tied to a land, and you paid your master tax, and he paid the king tax or whatever. It's always been that power structure, and the working class have never been able to revolt against the system, mainly because the elites have got all the fucking power. They own the means of production, all the factories. They've got the army on their side. They've got the police on their fucking side. They've got the education, the church, all that fucking shit. Yeah, and they've been able to fucking, they've got more power than we do ultimately.
So the 1%, these 1% that you speak of, were these 1% people? Did they start off as working class and then make their way up to
no. They didn't start off as working.
This is what I want to know. So who are these? This is why my first question I asked a while ago. Who are these 1% that you're speaking of that in your country doing this? Are they different from you?
I'll tell you. Right. So this 1%. They've always been like an international clique. Like our royal family, they've always been interbreeding. Well, breeding with foreigners, breeding with Jewish people.
Do you know what, bro? Just sorry to cut you, because I'm trying to get to the root of this. I know you're talking about the royal family. I want to get to the root of how this thing began, because
how it began.
I want to understand, because I know I want to understand who are these 1% and how did they come about? That's first.
How they came about? Okay.
Because you guys, remember, think about it, because you guys have been in England for for a long time in this country. Yeah, okay. Still England. This country.
Let's go from the very beginning. Let's go from the very beginning.
Yeah, let's go.
So from the very beginning of human civilization, people had something which is, it was pretty much anarchy. Like the state of nature was very disorganized, very tribalistic, and because it was very tribalistic, and people, the way most people's lives were conducted was basically. You're looking out for the next man who's trying to fuck your shit up or steal your stuff or rob your wife or whatever. So what had happened
that was in England, right?
That was everywhere, everywhere on the planet. That's how it was. But,
I just want to deal with England for now before we get to the rest of the world.
Okay, I'm going on with it. So it became a necessity that we instituted a sort of hierarchy. So we'd have a king or a tribal chief or whatever, and that this person would install law, wouldn't they? They'd say, okay, it's my job to keep law and order so everyone could do business, be productive and things like that. And that was like that was basically, the feudal system. Now, it was a necessity because we needed law and order, whatever. It was productive and it kept shit in place. However, as time has progressed, people were driven more by greed than their moral obligation to their tribe. And that's when they started putting their own class interests above everyone else. And that's what happens right now. Like the elites have always, so it went from feudal system and then it went to the Industrial Revolution where they sort of.
Yeah. Okay. So what it sounds like, to me, if I get what you're saying. So in the beginning, you had your people in, let's just say your people in England. They were very
tribalistic and violent.
Tribalistic, violent and stuff like that. Very violent, very tribalistic. And then someone said, hey, do you know what? There's too much violence. Let's appoint one of us to be a king.
Yeah, be a king, a leader. We'll be a leader. So he'll keep law and order.
Yeah. So then you guys decided to appoint. So you appointed someone from your tribe to be a king. Yeah. And then over time, you're saying as time started to progress, certain kings and people that you put in power from your own people started to create a structure or become more greedy and deal with their own.
Their own they put their own self-interest above what their moral duty was. Do you get what I mean? This happens in the church, like the church, for example. Like the church is supposed to represent religion and faith and stuff like that. Okay. But over time, it's represent greed. But it's like this is about making money. Okay.
So the point I was getting to is because this is what I wanted to get to. So this is basically showing that and this is what I wanted you guys to touch on, is that it was your own people that over time grew this greed and created this problem that you have. So why is it now that
we're blaming you,
that your people can't now do the same to try and reverse that situation?
It's what we're trying to do, mate. What we're trying to do.
Where are they trying to do that?
What we're trying to do is we want a system where we don't exploit. Well, I do. I want a system where we don't exploit people anymore. So I don't want working class people to be exploited. I don't want. The reason why I don't want immigration is because that's bad for the working class in this country. It's bad for the working class abroad. I'd like a world where because an example would be the Philippines. We take nurses from the Philippines. That's really bad for the Philippines. Children are dying. I want the Philippines to be self-reliant, where people can look after their own people and then they don't need to come to England. We shouldn't have a system where you need to leave your own people.
Do you want me to tell you why this is a problem? Because now, when I think about it, is this, if we look at the timeline that you gave us from the beginning, if it stayed the way that you was explaining it in the beginning, very tribal, very violent and stuff, you most likely would have wiped each other out. Do you understand?
Probably, yeah.
And I'm trying to think, so I'm trying to think. Okay. I'm trying to make you guys see that maybe even that 1% or the way things happen may have even benefited you, because you might have.
It did benefit us. Listen,
hold on. We're missing a bit here. The game changer was mass transportation of people, airlines and things like that.
See, I'm not game changer. I'm not denying that there were some benefits. There were some benefits to feudalism. There's been some benefits to capitalism. Like capitalism has given us lots of technology. We don't have to worry about food anymore. We're very productive. The problem is that we're trying to go past that now. We're trying to get past this system where we've got these people who exploit the planet and exploit our own people and exploit people.
But the thing is, but what I'm trying to understand is you guys created that, because look, you guys were dealing with violence. Hold on, you guys was dealing with violence, which would have ended up if you stuck that.
It's not just our people, is it?
Hold on a sec.
Because black people were rounded up and sold by other black people.
Hold on.
Everybody has exploited everybody.
No, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. I'm trying to say we're gonna trust me. We're gonna touch on that. I just wanna get from your. I just wanna deal with from your point of view and deal with your history because I'm trying to understand it. So there was a point where you guys, if you didn't change the way you did, if you didn't take the next step of making people kings, you most likely would have wiped each other out because you was living in a violent place. Violent tribalistic place, killing people, stealing for food because obviously the resources were probably not as much in the area where you were, and then now obviously you guys created the beast.
It's not that the resources weren't as much. The resources were restricted by the people above us.
No, but how would it have been restricted before? I'm saying how would it have been restricted before you? This is what I'm saying. Before you appointed your kings and your leaders. And you guys are saying that you were living in a tribalistic way, and people were stealing stuff.
Right?
You know, the Normans came and invaded England.
I mean, that's way before
that meant you couldn't hunt game on your own property.
You know what? See, and this is another thing. It's like you keep saying the people came and this. I'm trying to deal. I'm trying to deal with you guys and your people. Don't worry about the invasion. We can deal with that. We know what happened with that. I'm trying to deal with what was happening.
Right, so we've got a state in nature, people are killing each other. We appointed, let's say, a chief leader, We appointed
you guys,
leader.
So you guys are tribalistic. Would have ended up wiping out yourself. You then said, you know what? Someone said, we need to stop this because we might end up killing ourselves. Then you appointed leaders. You're then same leader for some reason got greedy and then created this whole system
because for some reason they've always been fucking greedy.
Okay, so that means nothing. So that means nothing changed then, because that means the greed, the violence, and the tribalistic ways has carried on throughout. There's been no change then. Do you understand?
Exactly. It's never stopped. No one's denying it's ever stopped.
So then now, how can you then? So my thing is, what are you then complaining about if this has been your nature and your ways from the beginning?
It's everybody's. It's everybody's nature.
Not everybody. I want to deal with you guys.
It's your people's. People's nature. Your people enslaved your own people and sold them into slavery.
See what you're doing now.
Fucking nature. That's the thing.
No, but see, we can deal with that. But I want to deal with you, and it's like I'm trying to make you see that this is your people's. It's been your people's nature from the beginning. So how are you complaining? Do you understand?
It's right. What we're saying is that the system. Right, so you have the appointment of leaders, right? Now, at the beginning, we don't. No one knows what was truly going on when the first humans were walking on whatever in Europe, in Africa, whatever. No one knows. We can only assume. The probably earliest examples is like the Peloponnesian War, which is still quite late into civilization. But what we can say is that humans appoint leaders. For example, if you read Plato's The Republic, he talks about how you have a farming class and then you have the protective class of warriors. So each tribe will have their warrior class. The warrior class needs to train. They can't train and farm. Therefore, you create a hierarchy of the majority being the farmers who supply up the pyramid for the warriors who then serve the king or whatever. That hierarchy is beneficial. The problem is that the system needs to ensure that the person who's at the top of the hierarchy is held accountable and is of moral character.
Okay, but that didn't happen though with your people, because you said that from the very beginning, you guys were how you were in the beginning, very tribalistic, very aggressive, very greedy.
Yeah,
that whole thing. All you basically did is just turn that greed and put it into a place of power. So that same nature that you had from the very beginning, all you did really is just give it
the state of nature is pre-hierarchy, it's anarchy. There's no collectivization. That's when people kill each other. Then they said, wait a minute, we should form a hierarchy. We should form in-group and out-groups. These different collectives fought each other for resources, either through internal pressure or external pressure.
So it didn't stop. So it didn't stop the killing and stuff. That's what I'm saying. Nothing changed. It just made all it made was that.
Well, in some cases, it's a case by case thing, really.
It's changed from blood to money, hasn't it?
Things
like that. I mean, look at what China's doing to Africa. China's fucking nothing compared to what we did to Africa.
I don't think it's really about saying who's
China,
worse.
China hasn't reached the same stage as what the great British Empire did in Africa. China isn't anywhere near that level.
What the fuck? What the fuck? China, as soon as anyone defaults on any loan whatsoever, they just claim it. You know they've claimed the port in Africa, and you know they're claim much more.
You keep on saying they claim the port in Africa. Africa's a continent. They're in certain countries.
I didn't mean Africa. They claimed the port in Sri Lanka, didn't they? You know, because the Sri Lankans defaulted on the loan. That's what happens. You default on a loan to China. It's like that. There's no negotiation. There's no way. You know, it's a bit. Of a development loan.
That's nothing new. I mean, Western powers were doing the same thing with loans in the past, whether it was the Americans, whether it was the British, the French. So the Chinese are just following. They're just following the lead of
because China did the same thing.
Chinese then by the Europeans, right?
But China did the same thing to the Boston Bay. They did the same thing that they did there. They bought that shit because it defaulted on the loan as well.
Yeah. I mean, who gives out the loans? It's not the working class, is it? It's those in power, the central banks. Central banks are the majority of which are private companies. They're not owned by the nations that they inhabit. Like, for example, I think it's been like 300 years since the Bank of England was sold off to the Rothschilds, right?
Yeah,
like
that's one of the
the working class.
It's just a business, isn't it? Capitalism. That's what you're against.
Yeah, exactly. That's our largest gripe with capitalism. It's international finance. You know, loans don't recognize borders. People, that doesn't really mean anything. We have a fiat currency. It's not based off anything. It's based off. Well, it's based off debts that are based off debts based off debts. It's perpetual slavery in a sense.
Trickle down system. Economics.
So you're going to have to persuade a lot of your brethren to turn their back on capitalism and become socialists.
Yeah.
We need to nationalize the banking system. I think every nation should do that. Nationalize the bank.
Wait. Nationalize the bank. How will you generate wealth, capital for the bank?
Okay.
How are you going to do that? We should nationalize bank.
You do the same. You do the same. You do the same that the bankers do. Create money out of thin air and inject to the economy when it's needed. You know?
So let me get this straight. In a socialist society with your nationalist bank, you're going to do the same thing that the capitalists did.
Exactly, Harry.
No, the same problem.
And inject money in from thin air is what he just said. Inject money in from thin air. What the fuck, bro?
Said.
Yeah, facts right there.
When the government does a whole lot of fucking stuff, that's what the socialism
Money
is.
is an idea. Money is an idea, nothing more. Money is an idea, and until you guys realize that, you'll always be fighting money.
Yeah, but that actually used to be based on the actual gold standard, an actual gold bullion. It was like a casino. I mean, for every chip on the floor of the casino, they had to have that.
Yeah, but the gold standard was bad. Once it to be fair.
And that got wiped out, a couple decades ago, and now it's like you said, it's just a piece of paper. It's bullshit money. The only reason why it holds any sort of weight is because we choose to have a societal term that says, "Hey, this dollar means $1. This $20 bill means a $20 bill." If the system crashes tomorrow, that doesn't work. It's not worth shit. You might as well use it as toilet paper.
The price of silver. That's artificial.
Yeah, but the point is that if you have a gold standard,
they took it. The silver standard that was done. They tried to implement that.
No, I'm not on about the silver.
Yeah, that was good though, admittedly.
And they fucking decided no.
The gold standard was bad. It had a lot of negatives. Like what?
Yeah, I feel. What I'm saying is that the banks.
He's got a really shit laptop. That's why he keeps going.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, the banks artificially keep the price of silver down. Like it's pretty much it stays the same.
Gold.
Yeah, but to actually nationalize the bullion for it.
Isn't gold pretty much worthless? It's just, its value is kept high by the Federal Reserve and shit.
Well, how many of us are actually running around mining gold or picking up gold? None of us. How many of the elites are? They are. They're picking it up all the time. That's how they trade. That's how they trade
currency.
At the end of the day, gold is only a stone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's a chunk of hefty paperwork.
Precious metals have inherent value.
A precious metal or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I know they're used in.
He's basically saying like we can't take gold and go fucking eat it or nothing. Like we can't take it. And like I mean, it's just it also has value because we choose to have value.
It has
specifically using it in
it's
production.
A superconductor. Yeah, it's a superconductor.
Money is an idea because it's an idea. You then can go from there, because it's only an idea. You can use anything you want. The Romans were using fucking salt. Imagine. You guys understand?
That's true.
So let them keep all the gold. And let's find another precious metal or something else and start our own shit.
What about back to the
products have post-industrial value?
Those who deposit money, of course.
These have post-industrial value. That's why, that's why I said precious metals and not necessarily gold itself. People were talking about cobalt earlier. Like cobalt's needed in these batteries for electrical things. I'm not saying we should base our currency off of it, but if you wanted to,
look at the lithium deposit that China just bought off of Mexico. They just swooped up like one of the largest deposits, if not the largest deposit of lithium out there. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, that gives them a lot of leverage. Like money is leverage.
That shit's just not anywhere. Like we can't just all of a sudden just start independently as citizens or as people of the world. Just hey, let's all just get together, start mining shit. You think any one of our governments is going to allow that? You think they're going to allow you to have any economic independence?
Which was why I asked you how are the government? How are you going to make the masses become socialists? Is it through revolution or the power of persuasion? And you said the power of persuasion, which I don't think will work because as Flintlock mentioned,
I made 2 points, but I was interrupted by doubling. I was talking about passive revolution and popular revolution, and then he cut me off.
It's okay.
So popular revolution is like what you're saying. So popular revolution is you get the masses on your side. It can be violent, non-violent, ballot box, armed conflict, whatever. Passive revolution is where you take institutional power, you persuade those you pretty much form a coup in the elite that already exists, and then once you have the institutional power, you change it like that. I'd say we could easily. I don't think we'll ever win a national popular revolution through like an election or whatnot. But if you, the method that I think would work is if we take local strongholds. This is obviously contextual. If you're in a different country, your political climate is obviously different. But there's a lot of local elections over here that just people don't vote in at all. So you can very easily take control and have influence over national politics.
Oh, where is he? He's gone. Frank Skinner. Hemi. He sounded like Frank Skinner. He's gone. I thought it was Frank Skinner when he was talking.
Oh, my God. This is what worries me is that, they've kind of like built a system so complicated. They've pitted us up against each other in such a way that it's like, even trying to like come to like a common ground or coming to like we're still stuck on you did this, I did this, fucking and it's such a fucking jumbled mess, man. And
exactly, I can't give a shit about that.
It's genius. It's a very strategic. This is strategic. It's planned.
It's divide and conquer bullshit.
It works.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely
right
divide and conquer. Absolutely divide and conquer. I mean, it's. When I like I was telling earlier, like when I was watching, because like I sit here and I watch my government do all kinds of crazy shit in other countries, and you listen to the reports and you listen to real reports from people who are actually on the ground or people who are in the area, living in the area, telling a different story, and you're just watching this, going like, "Fuck, man!" Like that's gonna happen here, and then it does, and it's been happening. Like I don't think you realize how divided Americans are right now. It's disgusting. You know what I mean? And those are the same tactics that they've been using on every other country, and it's just it's being done in the open, willingly.
And listen, and Flint, I know because I've a lot of family over. My mother's Puerto Rican, so I have a lot of family over there, and they've been flip flopping between Democrat, Republican in the last couple of elections, and they don't know where they fucking stand. To be honest with you,
we don't either, man. And that's the problem. Is like
I know.
The only way I can explain it is they have an agenda, and it doesn't matter if you're voting for the left or the right or the blue or the red. They're still going to do whatever agenda they're going to do, regardless of what the people want. And they're giving them bullshit options, so they're confusing us all these like random dumb things. And you know, I worry that that's not going to like stop. I worry they're just going to keep, reaching further and further, and they're going to do it to other countries. I don't think it's just going to stop with us. And if we keep yelling and screaming at each other and keep fucking wanting to hold up beefs from fucking 3,000 years ago that we didn't have nothing to do with, then we are never going to be at the point where 70 billion people or 70 million people stand up and go, no, we're not taking the shit. No.
And that's what they know. And that's what they know. Because at the end of the day, the people do have the power.
They do. They're afraid.
But we can't take it. We haven't taken it, and we haven't taken it, and that's it.
Well, it's one of the points I made before, like a while ago, was that like our government has given us a artistic revolution, a music revolution, fashion revolution, movie revolution, but you haven't given us a social and a political revolution. Because if it did, you'd fucking whack us all.
And well, listen, we've got a social, and political revolution in this country 100 years ago, and I've made this statement. I've made this statement on this channel a while ago. It's going to be hard for this country now to have another revolution on top of that revolution for against, and especially against their own people, when it was easier. When it was a foreign land that we had to make these changes because of. Now it's our own people that we have to, and that's where I think we're gonna have difficulties.
Yeah,
I mean, they dumb people down with liberalism and whatnot.
Yeah,
if you these people are focused on like bringing in whatever gender rights, that's their form of revolution. That dumbs down the need for a real revolution.
I think it dilutes the conversation, because obviously, like, even listening to you guys the past 30 minutes, 45 minutes, there's a lot of tension in a short pocket of area from where you guys are, and it's centuries and centuries of shit. And I don't think Americans have only gotten a couple.
That's
thousands of years.
But listen, Flint, that other Irish guy that came on a while ago, he would usually be on the same side as me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Right. He was a Republican, a nationalist, an Irish nationalist, for England getting out of the country. But Jesus Christ, he has views that have they don't sit with me. They don't sit with me, or they don't sit with the people that I know, or that I to be with.
Yeah,
definitely not.
If it's a change that we need to make, it's hard to heal when you're hurting too at the same time, and you're angry at the same time, and listening to you guys go, I was just holy shit, because I know here in the States there's weird beefs between liberals and Democrats and Republicans, and it's just kind of this short, it's a shorter distance, right? You guys have a lot of different cultures and a lot of different races packed into one spot, and you guys have had centuries of time of beef, in various directions. One conquered the other,
and then
to have that conversation between each other, tensions run high. It looks like it's just it's super mass volatile. So it's
I know, you have to remember then that the English, because of their greediness and their wanting to be on the world stage and be head of the world stage, that they brought into all different countries like India, Africa. Right. I mean Africa as a continent, India as a continent, China as a continent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've done a lot of bad shit for such a small little fucking place, excluding Scotland and excluding Wales, for such a little small landmass that isn't. They can't consider themselves as one island because they have Scotland and Wales. They've created a lot of shit.
Yeah,
a lot of shit. You know?
I mean, it's evident, you know, and it's not. And the thing that sucks is like.
And then but when the people, but Flint, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just 2 seconds. When the people get on and when they get on and degenerate or denounce people, not even denounce, I mean to put people down for things that England have done, and they say, oh, you want to get over it. It's a load of bollocks. Yeah. It's a load of bullshit.
Yeah, it's
and they shouldn't be allowed away with it.
You know, yeah, it just seems like it's you know, it's not like when we look around, like, you know, the globe and everything, it's not the people that are the problem. It's the people who lead those people that are the problem. And it's across all sides. It's, you know, my government, you know, Britain's government, you know, all these corrupt leaders who are taking advantage of the system. Like I said earlier to the guys, you know, if you took a room full of every continent and brought their kids in, you put them in a room together at the same time, their kids wouldn't give a fuck about none of that. They would all just be playing together, and wouldn't, even if they didn't speak the same language, they would still be fucking playing with toys, hanging out.
They would be
with kids.
They'd be playing together.
It's our beefs and our bullshit that keeps imprinting upon kids and people around us, and you know, this is, yeah, for a very small place, man. Like, you're right. Like you know. UK did some crazy shit, but like, we can't hold the people. We're so pissed off at each other, and that's like it. But we're focusing our direction of anger towards the people.
No, definitely. Look, definitely not the people that the surviving people should not be, but the surviving people that are coming in and saying, "We done fuck all wrong. Use motherfuckers. Use